Good morning, Reborn mommies and daddies. It's Emily from Doe Deer Nursery here today. I'm here at my workstation. I just got all set up for a full day of painting, and I've received a lot of requests both on Instagram and on YouTube to do a work in progress video or kind of a reborn with me type video. So I thought today I would just kind of show you what I'm working on and film little snippets in between of what it is I'm doing today. So here you can see the two kits I'm working on at the moment. Over here I have Twin A. She's the Sculpt by Bonnie Brown. This is now going to be the fourth time I've painted this kit, and she is a custom order. As you can see, I've already started some of her work. On her first day of painting, I was able to get her veining, initial veining, blue undertones, initial mottling, red and purple undertones, yellow undertones, all kind of started. So she doesn't look like all too much right now. I find that the first day of painting tends to kind of yield the least amount of visual progress, but it really helps set the stage for some of those under the skin effects that are going to help with the overall realism once the baby's done. So I'll also show you her tummy plate, because I feel like tummy plates they're larger surface area, they tend to show more detail. So as you can see, she's got her belly button starting to get nice and pink. She's got some veining, got some mottling, so it's coming along. And then the other baby on my work table, who I will take the eyes out shortly before I start painting, but I wanted to leave him in to show you guys. This is Sansa by Ping Lao, I believe that's how it's pronounced. And this is also a custom order, and he's going to be a sweet little bald baby boy. And I think it's just the sweetest, cutest kit. If I'm able to get my hands on another one of these, I'm going to have to, because I just think it's too precious. Undertones. So today, if you can see, I've got this green color mixed up. It's relatively thin. And then I've got this green mottling sponge that I've just plucked out with tweezers. I'll show you the sponge compared to one of my others. You can see the model pattern is a lot tighter and more sporadic. Because this I want to be really subtle. I want it to appear more under the skin. So I find that with a smaller, tighter model pattern, it's not going to be as prominent. So what I'm doing is I'm just getting a little bit of the paint onto the sponge, dabbing it off on my paper towel that I keep right here. I've already done the belly plate, but I'm going to go ahead and do the head. So I'll try and show you as best I can. I tend to start around the fontanelle area, because I find that gives me sort of a nice little marker to help keep track. I'll go around the forehead and the temples, all the way down to the neck, kind of bring it back up onto the cheeks. I use kind of a lighter hand around the face area. Sometimes I don't even go on to, the eyes or nose. Because this is so thin and subtle, I did today with this mottling layer. Then going around the back of the head, being sure to get behind the ears and on the ears, up the crown, and then I can see where I last modeled because the paint thinner is still visible and shiny. So I'm going to cover that whole side of the head, and now this whole side of the head. I'm going to do a quick scan, make sure there aren't any spots I missed. And then what I'm going to do is take a clean brush and just make sure to clean up any areas, usually kind of the creases in the ears, or any spot where maybe the paint is settling or went on too thick or needs a little bit of blending. That layer went on quite nicely, so there's not much I have to do here. I'm going to do my best to show you. Let me actually pull this curtain open. Oh, there we go. There's some nice bright light. You can see it's nice and shiny, and the layer is very thin and subtle. It's not going to be anything you're going to inherently see or notice, but it will help add to the effect. I also find that doing extra green mottling in lieu of green washes helps to keep the redness down without having to do an overall green wash. Now, not in all cases, but in this case, I think it's going to add a nice color. So I'm going to go on to the limbs. Alright, so I'm back. I went ahead and did a green model layer over both Twin A and Sansa, let it dry off, baked it, and then let the kits cool. So Sansa still needs to cool a little bit. She was the second one in the oven, or he rather. But Twin A is just about all set to go. What I've already done off camera is I went ahead and did a bit more purple undertones. I kind of enhanced the creasing in certain areas on the kit, enhanced the insides of the ears, the creases on the eyes, just did a couple things where I wanted to add more purple. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a purple model layer. So I have this relatively kind of large, porous looking mottling sponge, which I like for the purple. And I've got I'd say a semi-thick purple paint here. I'll see if I can show you. It's a little hard to see, but it's still thin, still subtle, but a bit heavier, a bit thicker than I would say the green layer. I'm going to blot that off. I'm going to start with the tummy plate. I tend to like to start with that. And again, light hand, and just start mottling. And I like to try and kind of, I don't know if you can see it, but I do this motion with my hand as I model, because I don't want to have a strategic pattern that shows up. I want the mottling to look semi-random. So, make sure I got everywhere. Ooh, you can kind of see in this light. So it's kind of a bigger mottling pattern. Again, it's still nice and subtle. It's not going to be dramatic or dark, but it helps a lot with the effect. So let's go on and do the head next. I like to do the limbs last because I find that the mottling tends to be the least noticeable on the limbs, if that makes sense. I think it's generally because, again, it's a narrower surface area, so you don't kind of see the big patterns the way you would on the head or the tummy plate. So as you use your paint and the thinner starts to evaporate, kind of the paint formula becomes a bit thicker and denser. And so I find that doing the limbs last helps the color and the pattern to kind of show up more. So now I'm just taking my clean brush, just kind of cleaning up any areas like I did with the green layer, anywhere where I don't like the way the paint is settling or anything like that. And then I'm also going to take a little blending sponge, I'm going to go with this one, and just kind of blend any areas that I think could use it. Usually over the ears, the eyes. I'm actually going to add a bit more mottling behind the ear over here where it didn't really pick up. Blend a little bit. Blend around the face. Same thing here, I use a very light hand around the face. We don't want any dramatic mottling there. Alright, that looks pretty good. And now we'll go on to the limbs. The Sansa kit has just finished baking and is cooling right now over by my oven. What I've gone ahead and done is I went ahead and did some initial blushing on Twin A. So I'm going to try and show you the best I can. I just wanted to start adding some life and some color to some of the important spots, like the feet, the hands, the knees, and then just in a couple select patches. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking, again, clean, dry brush, it's your best friend, and going into a lot of the creases. Because I applied this paint, with kind of a combination of using a large brush and using a sponge and pouncing it on, it does tend to kind of settle in certain spots. I'm also taking my big flat brush and just kind of smoothing out some spots. But making sure I've got a nice, even kind of layer in the spots that I selected. Now, I'm going to add a lot more blushing to this. you know, over the course of several layers, but this is just the initial one. And I want to make sure it's got a nice little foundation. Alright, so something I'm noticing on this kit, and I've had this happen with the Twin A kit in the past, there are a few select spots that I find are not taking the paint as nicely as I'd like it. And that is on the back of the heel and on certain parts of the hands, particularly around the knuckles and wrists. So I'm going to keep moving forward and see how that goes, see if I'm able to just kind of you know, focus on it and, you know, work with it. If not, if I find it's still not taking well in those areas, what I'll likely do is apply a little bit of a mixture, which I might show you, that will involve some matte varnish, and apply it to those areas to help future layers of paint stick a little better. Do the same on the face. Face actually looks quite nice. Oh, another spot I notice on this kit that doesn't always hold the paint very well is right along the sides of the ear. So that may be a spot we'll need to focus on as well. Face actually looks pretty good. There's not much I want to do here in terms of touching up. Maybe just sort of smooth out the creases in the eyelids. Yeah. Here she is so far. So I'm going to go ahead and bake this on. I'm going to do the same thing to the Sansa kit, the same kind of initial blushing to select areas, and then bake that on as well. Alright, so I'm back with Sansa right now while Twin A finishes baking. And I'm going to go ahead and do something a little unique, because I'm finding that I'm not satisfied with how much the arms and legs are taking the paint. I want to make sure it's sticking pretty nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and make a little mixture that I have found helps to make difficult areas help take the paint a little better. Alright guys, it's been a little while, but I'm back, and I just kind of wanted to show you where both kits are at now that I'm kind of getting to the end of the day of painting. So when we last left off, I was just doing some initial blushing on Twin A. What I've done since is I did end up doing initial blushing on Sansa as well, and I did go ahead and add my varnish mixture to a couple of the troubled spots that weren't taking paint. That did take some time because I had to bake multiple times and allow for cooling in between. Since then, I've also gone ahead and done another layer of cool mottling. I've enhanced a few of the undertones, and then on Twin A, I just went ahead and finished a flesh wash to kind of tie it all together. So hopefully you guys can kind of see the progress both kits have made today. Quite a bit of the time of work today was spent kind of troubleshooting those problem areas where the paint wasn't adhering very well. But hopefully you can see some progress between where we started this morning and where we're at this afternoon. And as for Sansa, he is a couple layers behind. He's still quite soft because he just came out of the oven, because I did end up doing quite a few layers of my varnish mixture on him. But he's since gotten some more mottling, more undertones. I'm going to go ahead and enhance his creasing next. And then I'm pretty much going to call it a day. I'm hoping that I'll be able to get them completed within another 1 to 2 days of painting. So we'll see how it goes. But I hope this video was helpful. I hope you enjoyed reborning along with me and kind of seeing some of the work in progress for today. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.